G'day and welcome to another edition of Chewing the Fat. Bevo here with you. Today we're down at the Safety Hub and we're joined by one of the greatest footballers of all time. Before we talk to him though, a big shout out to our major sponsor now, Anytime Fitness Glenelg. But we are joined by a four-time Hawks premiership player, Magarey medalist back in 1984, a Brownlow medalist in 1987, 17 times he's represented the state, AFL and SANFL Hall of Fame inductee, Johnny the Rat Platten. Great to have you on Chewing the Fat, mate.
Oh, beautiful to be here, yeah.
So, mate, I mentioned before Safety Hub. How did you become the owner of Safety Hub, and tell us all about it?
Well, we started out with we were on Regency Road about 8 years ago. No, about 10 years ago, and I got into it as a sales rep, and we knew that safety is going to be huge here in Australia, and so I jumped on board with it. And then 3 years later, I bought the company, and we moved out of Regency Road down here at 56 Cavan Road now. Dry Creek. So. And
what do you guys specialise in? Obviously, safety gear being the number one thing, but anything else?
Oh, look, we specialise in PPE gear, high-vis, gloves, hard hats, steel-toe boots, all the good stuff, signage, traffic cones, anything to do with safety we deal in. So, pop in to say hello.
That's right, big fella. love those ads. So let's talk about your career, mate. So much to talk about. All the way go back to 1981 when you made your debut as an 18-year-old, 60 kilos. It was a brutal footy back in those days. Guys just absolutely smashing in. Must have been pretty scary though, being an 18-year-old at 60 kilos.
Oh yeah, look, probably not so scary. I look forward to it because I suppose growing up in the Kid and Elizabeth and playing out at Elizabeth in my junior years, and then had the fortune enough to come out and play with Centrals in '79, and 2 years later playing league footy with Centrals. It was something which I always wanted to do. So a dream come true. I was always a Central District supporter, and in 1981 played 21 of the 22 games. So it was great.
In 1984, you won your first Magarey, and then a few years later, you won the Brownlow. Only Nathan Buckley and Malcolm Blight have done that, so you're a pretty illustrious company there, Platts. Talk us through that.
Look, it was 84. We started the year off quite well here at Centrals, and unfortunate enough we didn't. We made the finals, but unfortunate enough we didn't get to the grand final. So, but it was a good year. Like we had some super players back in Centrals back in the mid 80s. So, but unfortunate enough we didn't sort of go on with it. I think we finished third for the year. But personally, yes, it was a pretty good year for me.
And 87, winning the Brownlow medal with the Hawks. Obviously, you won the 4 flags with the Hawks, but 87, sharing it with Plug and Lockett, that must have been pretty thrilling as well.
Oh, very thrilling, yes. Yeah. You look back now and you think, that's fantastic. But I suppose when you play and all you want to do is just to play well and week in, week out. So, these things come along. If you play well enough every week, it's something which you don't think about it, but now after finishing footy and retiring and all these little things come up, it's fantastic now.
Obviously, winning a premiership is pretty damn awesome, but winning 4 is just even better. Which was your favourite of the 4, Platts, and why?
Oh wow, that's always pretty hard. Look, every grand final had a special meaning for it. When I went to Hawthorn in '86, that was my first year. It was my first premiership, so that was pretty special. Winning your first premiership in your first year of playing in the VFL AFL. '88, we beat Melbourne by 96 points, so that was the most that someone's won a grand final by. Was 96 points, and then we played a back-to-back in '89, and that was the first time ever that Hawthorn have ever gone back-to-back. And to play in that, to be there in the '89 grand final before I got concussed in the first quarter, I came off after the first quarter. That was always pretty special, winning the back-to-back. And then in '91 when we played West Coast at Waverley, the first and last one ever to play out there. So they all had different stories to it. So it's pretty hard to nominate one.
And you deal with every week with the tagger in the SANFL and the AFL as well. How'd you cope with that, mate? And who was probably your biggest protector?
I suppose, looking back now, I probably got tagged right back in the when I played with Centrals, and that was sort of like in the early 80s, and then finished up going to Hawthorn, getting tagged through there most of the years. It was frustrating, but at times there you always took it into a positive mode to think that you're getting tabbed because you're one of the best players. So I took that on board and had to work a bit harder, had to run a bit harder. So I was very, very fit back in those days. So But the toughest one, like Liberatore was tough. Gary Hocking from Geelong, Busey from Geelong was another tough one. But just to trying to pinpoint one again, it's always hard because that was part of their game which they had to do, and they'd done it very, very well at stages. So, but at the end of the day, it was all good fun.
And I heard that Dean Sharon came off second best with Dermy. Talk to us about that.
Oh yeah, it was a time we played Melbourne in '87, and Dermot. I was having a bit of a hard time with Sharon, who was tagging me. So I asked one of the boys at half time, can you give us a hand? And so this is like in '87. This is only my second year of Hawthorn. So at that stage, and I didn't sort of whinge or complain about taggers because that was something which happens every week. So, but this day here, Sharon tagged me, and I think I went up to Dermot. I said, Dermot, can you do me a favour? Can you give us a hand just to give Sharon a bit of a bump, to get him off me type of thing. So I think he took one step too much, and I think he finished up knocking him out. And I think Dermot got 6 weeks, and I got 3 votes for the Brownlow on that day. So it was a pretty special day. Yeah.
And let's go back to one of the funniest things that I remember being involved with the 12th man, Platts, because I love the wide world of sports and the tight shorts controversy. How the heck did you get involved in that?
Oh, I don't know. I just got asked. It was funny you bringing it up. I've sort of probably forgotten all about it, how it all was, but it was with the 12th man, and he rang us up and asked us to come in and do a spot with him, and so I did. We went. I think he lived in Toorak at that stage then, and went upstairs to his house and had this studio on the top of this house, and away we went, and we did it. And I was in one corner, and I think Simon and Madden was in another corner, and someone else in the other corner, and we were just sort of saying our lines, and he was all putting it together, and it was a pretty funny day actually. But then he put it all together, and it became even funnier. So it was great. It was good times.
I'd love to interview Billy Birmingham. That would be the ultimate, I reckon. So. And let's go back to 1998. You went back to the Dogs, obviously seeking that first ever premiership, and unfortunately got riddled by injuries. Do you feel as though there was probably a bit of unfinished business there?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's something which look, for the footy career that I had over 18 years with Centrals and Hawthorn was amazing. I loved every bit of it, but I suppose there's one thing which is just burning inside me was always trying to win that first premiership with Centrals. Unfortunately, I didn't. I won 4-day and 4-night with Hawthorn, made some of the finals with Centrals, but never won that premiership. So that was a bit disappointing. But overall, my footy career, there's no regrets. Happy. Played over 400 games all up with Samful and with AFL, VFL, state games, all Australian games and all that. So I played over 400 games. So it's to miss out on one little thing. It does hurt me, but I've moved on from there.
And 2000, of course, the Doggies won that premiership. Do you feel as though you could have gone a few more years, or you reckon you made the right decision in the end, quitting in 1998? Yeah,
98. I think I was cooked. I think I played 6 games. I had bone on bone in my right knee, so I tried to get back each week, but unfortunately, I just couldn't get up every week because the pain was very, very painful, and so I finished up. I only played 6 games and pretty much retired at the end of '98. So, which was disappointing because I wanted to finish the year off and hopefully win a premiership, but unfortunately enough, it wasn't to be. So, it was a pretty tough year.
And Platts, you played with some real characters over the years, obviously Dermy, Dipper, and just to name a few. But who was the funniest and why?
Oh God, we had some amazing players. Look, Dipper would be probably the funniest. He's a sort of bloke he's got a great heart. He's very passionate about his football. He can't put 2 words together, but he's an amazing guy. I love him to bits, and I saw him last week at the Hall of Fame, and he's still the same. He hasn't grown up. I think we call him Peter Pan. The kid who's never grown up. So. But we had some wonderful players. It wasn't just the Dunsells, the Burtons, the Dippers, the Langfords. We had, Pritchard, we had Andy Collins, Airsy, Michael Tuck, Peter Curran, Tony Hill. We had an amazing group of players during the 80s, and I know they're probably a little bit different to the superstars, as we say, but they were awesome just as much as the superstars were.
Yeah, I love it. And I reckon that's a pretty good way to end things, Platts. It's been a pleasure having you on Chewing the Fat, mates. Just congratulations on an amazing career. I had the pleasure of playing with your son, Jakey, so shout out to him. He's a great fella. And, well done again, mate, on your career. Keep up the great work at the Safety Hub as well. Thanks to Murph for filming for us at Anytime Fitness Glenelg. See you next time, guys.
See you,